Update. Am I the a-hole for not helping my ex after he left our business? Original story. I, female 29, met my ex Ben, male 29, in college and started a business right after our senior year. Our relationship often got toxic, but I think being business partners kept us together. Eventually, our business started having financial troubles. Ben comes from wealth, so I asked him to get a loan from his parents, which he agreed to. 2 months later, Ben suddenly asked for all the money back. We were always planning to pay it, but we had mutually decided on manageable installments, and I was not in a position to return all of it at the same time. Ben said his father was very sick, and since he was in retirement, his health insurance situation was tricky. This seemed particularly odd to me because 1, Ben did not give me any details on the sickness. 2, he didn't let me call his mother because she was grieving and couldn't talk about finances. 3, Mom had more than enough money to pay for his treatment. Every time I tried to investigate, he asked me to trust him, and that's what I did. Getting the money back was an ordeal. We had already invested all of it in the business, and I had to take some out and even give away all of my personal savings. About 3 weeks after this, Ben called me to tell me that we are done. He also wanted out from the business. And the only other time I saw him was with lawyers when we were dividing our business assets and he was withdrawing his name from all of the official documents. I was devastated. In addition to all the emotional trauma, I had virtually no finances to fall back on and moved back in with my mother for a bit. I never heard from Ben, and after talking to some of our mutual friends who were on my side, I found out that Ben's father was not actually sick. I wasn't surprised. 5 years later, I never gave up on my business, and slowly it grew and helped me pay all of my debts and live a comfortable life. I heard from some friends that both of Ben's parents passed away, but I didn't pay it much heed. In the midst of lockdown, I got an email from Ben. I knew this was not going to be good, but I responded, guided by my curiosity to know what he did with all that money. His parents had cut him out of their will, and he had a child with a woman who abandoned them. He also got laid off because of COVID, and he told me he was struggling to feed his son. Told me that since he was instrumental to the business foundation, he deserved a cut from it now that it was successful. When I asked him about the money, he said his parents were pressuring him, which I did not believe. They were always on board with his frivolous purchases and knew me well enough to tell me if they wanted it back. I consulted my lawyer, who said Ben had no legal claims to the business. But when I told my best friend about it, she said that she was appalled by the fact that I didn't give it a second thought, especially because he was responsible for the business idea, and his initial investment was twice as much as mine. She thinks I'm an a-hole, so I'm here to find out. Now for the top comments before reading the update. That's a clear not an a-hole. Congratulations to you for persevering with the idea long enough to make it a success. Exactly. Very clear not an a-hole. No idea why any friend would suggest otherwise, actually. I met her through him. She says she has always liked me more and hasn't spoken to him since the debacle, but I don't know how true that is anymore. I mainly consulted her because she knew the entire story thoroughly, but now it seems like she has a massive conflict of interest. He lied about his father being sick. He is probably lying about the child. Do not let your friend guilt trip you. The guilt trip is spot on. My friend told me that since I struggled financially at some point, I should have empathy because he is in the same situation now. He hasn't changed, or he would have reached out to you to apologize at some point over the years. He's only reaching out because he wants money now. It's highly doubtful his parents didn't leave him money. He is a liar. If his son is hungry, there are tons of free programs for food during the pandemic. I get emails weekly from my kid's school about resources to free meals. Your best friend sucks. You are not the a-hole. You don't owe your ex at all. You did the work, so you get to reap the rewards. She usually tries to play the devil's advocate, but I think this time she took it too far. And now for the update. It's been some time since I posted this, but I wanted to thank all of you for steering me in a clear direction. The volume of responses was overwhelming, and I'm sorry for not getting back to all of you. Now for the update. My ex does really have the son, and I was able to verify this. I also found out that he wasn't cut out of his parents' will. The money simply just wasn't as much as he was expecting. Even though he did lose his job, he had a lot of fallback money. I also forgot an important detail in my first post. I recently did an interview in a local newspaper about my business, and my ex may have read that and found out that my business was doing well. Since I didn't need that money, my only explanation for why he reached out to me is that he felt entitled to my success and the money I made. Now about my friend. She admitted that he reached out to her before he emailed me, but later after some coaxing, she told me that they had been speaking casually for some years. I'm not the most confrontational person, so I cut her out of my life. And yesterday, I found out through Facebook that they're engaged. Well, one last thank you. I am admittedly a gullible person, and you all helped me not get played. Yesterday, I found out through Facebook that they're engaged. Oh, this actually made me chuckle. Sounds like they deserve each other. True, true. Train wreck coming down the track. Congrats on the business success and in not getting sucked into their scam. Sounds like you've learned some valuable lessons, without too much long-term damage. What a crappy friend. She wanted to coax Opie to give her future fiancé money. Yeah, a couple of con artists, those two. I really hope things go better for you, Opie. I'm glad you got that toxicity out of your life. Stay safe, Opie. Your ex and your ex-friend deserve each other. Congrats. I know, right? Opie, you deserve a partner who will cherish and love you forever. I really hope you find that, be it a romantic or platonic partner. Really sucks that your friend wasn't on him trying to scam you. Stick to your guns and protect yourself and your business, cause no way is a part of it. Hope you stay safe and can stay afloat. Well, more than anything, it has been a learning experience. Thank you for your wishes. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for rejecting conditional help? My boyfriend, 26 male, and I, 26 female, have been together for about 3 years now. We spent the past year living together and watched his mom die of cancer. It was brutal, but I was always with him. We just got our own place. Boyfriend has an office job while my work is in flux. Moving without a secure job made me nervous, so boyfriend offered to pay more than half our rent. I didn't accept, so we didn't discuss it further. I lost more income this month, so very nervously, I began to ask boyfriend if he was able to cover about $150 more for 1 to 2 months, less than he offered. I asked generally. He was tepid, but he said sure, he could help. The next morning, we fought, and related to finances. I was upset and took an hour walk. Long story, but boyfriend said that by being gone longer than 20 minutes, I wasn't respecting him. He said that now he thinks about it, he isn't comfortable helping me with rent. He brought it up again until I addressed the comment specifically. I told boyfriend that I thought this was an appropriate way and time in which to bring up sensitive logistics, and it felt manipulative. He told me his help is conditional, especially the money. He will not help me if I don't treat him well. The fact he offered to help me with rent in the past doesn't matter. He said he has money to spare, but the fact that I just assumed he had a comfortable income, or that he would help because he offered to help before, is disrespectful. He wanted me to know that his withdrawing of support is repercussion of my behavior, / the argument. I told him I understood his discomfort and I'm sorry, but I won't rely on you for financial support if it's conditional. I can't rely on you if it means I walk in eggshells, anxious about fighting with you or upsetting you in case you withdraw help anytime we argue. I will pay my own way and figure it out. Your money is yours and I won't count on it. Hey, his money is his money. I'm not upset it doesn't feel comfortable helping me, but I am about the discussion and conditions. However, when I said I didn't want his help, he got very upset and angry. He said that the only reason I felt trust had been broken was because I wasn't viewing things objectively, and if I was more empathetic, I would see that he was right. He yelled after me, "What? So you don't want my help at all anymore? Because if so, I'm going to backcharge you for half of your birthday, etc. Is that what you want? I want you to tell me before I tally everything up." I told him to stop goading me and leave me alone. Am I the a-hole for believing that after everything, his help shouldn't just be conditional? I'm not entitled to his money. Never. But if he agrees to do something, isn't it wrong to make his help totally dependent on if he deems my behavior appropriate or respectful enough? Am I the a-hole for saying that I don't want to rely on him out of fear he'll rescind his help if I step out of line? And I feel uncomfortable that he would leverage logistical aspects of our lives in unrelated arguments? Not the a-hole. It seems incredibly controlling and manipulative. Don't take his help under any conditions, and take steps to make sure he cannot financially control you in any way. I think you are spot on in seeing red flags here. And honestly, eventually everyone is in a position to need help. Maybe you should find a partner who you can be vulnerable to without fear of reprisals. Incredibly controlling. That's why he was so angry when she said she didn't want his help. Because he thought he had found a way to control her. Red flag galore. Agreed. And he is still trying to find ways to hold it over her head by threatening to backcharge her for birthday gifts. What the actual hell? Not the hell. Literally explicitly told you that he plans to hold money over your head and use it to control your behavior and force you to act however he wants. Shy of actually standing in front of you and saying the words, "From this point on, I will be using my more secure financial position to financially mistreat you." There is no way he could make it any more clear that that's what he's doing. Yep, exactly what I was thinking. Pretty sure I first saw it on here, but when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Not a-hole. He's trying to financially control you. Stay independent. And run from this relationship as fast as you can. If you have his child, you're screwed. It's scary how explicit he was about it. Like he told her he was going to financially abuse her. Usually it happens slowly over time, but he just came right out and said it. I hope he needs to get away from him as soon and as quietly as she can. That is so not okay. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for being upset my husband upgraded my engagement ring and changing it back? My husband and I didn't really have a spontaneous proposal. We just mutually agreed we wanted to get married on next date. I told him that for my engagement ring, I wanted to wear my late mom's. It's a simple gold band with a small diamond on its own. My husband wanted to add onto it and make it fancy, but I honestly loved it as is, and I'm not into big flashy jewelry. He reluctantly agreed and I started wearing it not long after. When it came to pick out wedding bands, I chose one similar to his, gold and not flashy. I could tell he was disappointed that I didn't want a traditional band. Fast forward 10 years and our anniversary was a couple of weeks ago. I can't wear jewelry at work and we have 3 young kids, so I tend to not wear my rings anymore unless we're going out to eat or there's a special occasion. I keep both in my jewelry box. Every year for our anniversary, birthdays, and Christmas too, we just flat out tell the other what we want so there's no confusion. This year was my turn to treat for our big dinner, and he wanted this pricey tool bench that he could use for his hobby. I told him all I wanted was a new purse and sent him the link. Come our anniversary, he gets his tool bench and is over the moon. I notice my gift is smaller than a purse should be and open it. It's my engagement ring, but basically supersized. There's a few other diamonds, and he added an inscription. The cost of all of this was way more than the $40 purse I wanted. I was in shock and asked why he did that. He said to surprise me. I said that I liked the ring as is. It's been in my family for a few generations, and he basically ruined it by glamming it up. He got upset and started calling me ungrateful, even though I've told him several times throughout the years that I don't like flashy rings and I wanted to keep it the same. He refused to tell me where he got it done, so I had to do some digging and paid for it to be mostly reverted into its original state, though they were wary about removing the inscription as the ring is so old. I did end up paying a hefty chunk. My husband is continuing to call me ungrateful and says it was a present. I told him I didn't like it, and he should have checked with me before making those changes. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. That was incredibly insensitive and selfish of him. I have no idea why he didn't just get you a flashy anniversary ring if it matters to him that you have a flashy ring that you would then never wear. Damaging your family's heirloom for his ego makes no sense to me. I would be dragging him to couples counseling so someone else can take the time to explain why what he did is awful. My bet is that he thought when she wears a flashy ring, everyone would think her hubby's so great to buy her such an expensive ring. If the ring is plain, the people think that her hubby is stingy and they feel bad for her. So it was a present for his ego. He is an insensitive a-hole. I would let him sleep on the couch till he knows he did something really wrong. Not Dayhal. Not Dayhal. He messed with a family heirloom just so you will wear a ring which flatters his ego. And he basically got a gift for himself instead of a gift for her. If he was so hell-bent on getting a flasher ring, why not an eternity ring? Lots of people do that for the 10th. To destroy an heirloom ring is beyond selfish and ignorant. Not Dayhal. Not Dayhal. You told him numerous times you didn't like flashy jewelry, and you didn't want nothing done to your late mother's ring. He betrayed your trust, took the ring and had it done his way without even telling you. To top it all off, it didn't even belong to him. All that money he put into upgrading that ring, he could have easily put into getting a ring he liked, instead of touching your late mother's ring. That's the sole reason I'm furious for you, OP. He could have went and picked out any ring at the jewelry shop, but he took the one that meant the most to you and basically destroyed it in a sense, and you were lucky to have it restored. When he calls you ungrateful next time, tell him you at least didn't betray his trust or boundaries or your mother's memory like he did. That'll shut him up right quick. Not to mention that he wouldn't even tell her where the changes were made when she was trying to fix it. Then didn't even cover the cost of undoing the damage it did. Not only did he give a gift that she explicitly didn't want, but then she had to pay to undo it while he refused to help her. Not Dayhal at all. And I really hope she's noticing all of the red flags here beyond the many obvious ones. This guy's behavior is awful on so many levels.
Date. My 36 female ex-husband, 38 male, always told me he didn't want kids, but got a new woman, 23 female, pregnant within weeks of our split. He now wants me to be an auntie to their baby and let them use my house. How do I begin to process this, and what do I tell him? Original post. My husband and I recently divorced after about 2 years of marital issues. He admitted to falling out of love with me. It hit me hard, primarily because I had always been the one to support and nurture him while he was often distant and uninterested. But in any case, and despite my heartbreak, I was relieved after 2 years of troubles to be divorced. I kept the house, I owned it anyway, and he moved to the next town over. Our divorce was finalized just a few weeks ago, and not even a week after he left, I started hearing rumors of my ex out with a new woman. A lot of people I'd considered friends seemed to eat up the gossip around this and excitedly posted online about it like it meant nothing. Suffice it to say, they aren't my friends anymore. But through them, I did end up hearing about my ex moving his new 23-year-old girlfriend into his place. Those rumors were confirmed after his sister, who I've always gotten along with, texted me about visiting them. She noted how weird it felt to see him all over his much younger girlfriend, laughing like nothing happened. It was also quite clear to me that my husband had almost certainly met and begun something with this woman while we were still married. I deleted a lot of my social media accounts and tried to just ignore all the goings-on and mind my business. I didn't expect to hear from my ex for a long time, at the very least, but he called a few days later sounding very excited. He hit me with the news that his girlfriend was pregnant. For context, I'd wanted children with him for years, but he'd always said no, that he didn't want them and wasn't ready. I asked him over the phone what was different this time. He hesitated and said he hadn't wanted our kids to be mistreated by society for looking different. I'm black and he's white, and his new girlfriend is also white, so that can only be a comment about race. During the call, he told me he'd really love me to be an active part of his child's life and be an auntie to them. I was pretty much speechless, and he continued by asking if he, his girlfriend, who would love to meet me, and eventually their baby, could come over to use the pool and barbecue at my house sometimes because it was too big for just one person. I was so mad I put the phone down and ignored all his texts asking me where I'd gone. His entitlement, on top of everything else, was staggering to me. It's been another week or so and I haven't responded yet. I told my family and friends about it, and they were all horrified by the endless bombs my ex dropped on me. His family is actually being incredibly kind and supportive of me, and also think he's lost his mind. I spoke to his mother the other day, and she said her son had been relentlessly calling, trying to get his parents to come over and meet his new girlfriend and eventually attend scans with them. The whole thing is like a bad dream, and I have no idea how to begin articulating myself. What do you guys think I should do? Continue with the silent treatment and just move on with my life? Or do I tell him where to get off? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Absolutely move on with your life. This sounds incredibly possessive and manipulative on his part, and I think cements how he sees you, an accessory to his life as opposed to someone he was committed to and shared a life with. Stay no contact and move on. You deserve better. After all the stuff prior, I'm blown away that he now wants to use the house. I don't think he cares about having me as an auntie. He probably just wants to take advantage of what I've got here. My sister-in-law's ex-husband is the same way, expects free range of the house with his current girlfriend in tow. Sister-in-law had to change the locks because he would just show up under the guise of, "My kids are here, so I'm allowed to be in here whenever I want." It sounds like he expects you to be as happy for him as he is for himself. You need to feel free to tell him to pound sand. Girl, tell him to F off and block him. Who the heck does he think he is? Also the race comment? Ew. This man is deep in his midlife crisis. Getting a 23-year-old pregnant and then daring to ask if you want to be an auntie? What a loser. And telling OP that her home is too big for one person, so she should share it with them? The entitlement, wow. He probably missing her paycheck too. Doubtful a 23-year-old makes anywhere near as much as a mid-30s homeowner of a big house and pool. Now for the update. So, I thought ignoring him would send a message. I genuinely believe that after putting the phone down and not responding to his texts, he'd eventually take the hint and leave me alone. I was wrong. Since that initial call where he blindsided me with the pregnancy news and casually asked if he, his 23-year-old girlfriend, and their unborn child could come swim in my pool and barbecue in my backyard because it's too big for just one person, his behavior has only gotten more delusional. First came the follow-up texts. "I don't get why you're being like this. We were best friends once. I thought you'd be happy for me. You always said you wanted to be a mom. This is kind of the next best thing, isn't it? And the baby could have so much love if you just let go of the past." I blocked him, but he found other ways. He started emailing me, long rambling paragraphs filled with emotional manipulation. He wrote about our history and how he always appreciated my warmth and how the baby would benefit from someone like me in their life. I almost threw up reading that. And then the guilt tripping began. He told his mother, who bless her, is firmly on my side, that I was abandoning him in his most important chapter, and that I was being spiteful by cutting him off. According to her, he's been moping around, acting like I wronged him, saying things like, "I just wanted her to feel like she was still part of the family." Still part of the family? The same man who told me, after years of refusing to have children with me, that he didn't want mixed-race kids being mistreated by society, now suddenly wants me to come play step-aunt to his white child with his barely legal girlfriend. Then he sent me this email. In it, he apologized for not being ready to love the way you needed back then, but said this new relationship healed him, and he wants to do things right this time, starting with building a village around the baby. That village, apparently, includes me. The audacity is unbelievable. The final straw came when a mutual acquaintance texted me to say my ex had been asking around to see if anyone was still friends with me. He was trying to get someone else to reach out on his behalf because he's worried about me. Classic manipulation. Make it sound like he's concerned, when really, he just can't handle being shut out. Let me be clear, I don't want to be cruel. I've tried to handle all of this with maturity, but there is a limit, and he sprinted past it weeks ago. I'm not responding to him. I'm not entertaining delusions of being an auntie. I'm not opening up my home, the one I owned before him, to play happy family with a man who betrayed me. And I've spoken to a lawyer about a cease and desist if this continues. The one small blessing in this nightmare is how supportive his own family has been. His mother told me she thinks he's having a midlife crisis, or maybe just always was this selfish and entitled, and now it's finally out in the open. Anyway, thank you all for the messages of support and validation. I needed them more than I realized. As for what's next, I'm focusing on my peace, my healing, my life. And if he ever shows up at my house, let's just say I'll be calling the police before offering sunscreen and burgers. Next story. Update. Am I the a-hole for finally snapping at my ex's girlfriend after constant passive-aggressive comments? Original post. This happened earlier today, and I'm still kind of stewing over it, so I need to know if I overreacted or if it was justified. I, 29 female, was invited to a friend's barbecue. My ex Jake, 30 male, and I broke up about 2 years ago. It was mutual. We both agreed we weren't right for each other long term, and since we share a close friend group, we've stayed civil and occasionally see each other at gatherings. It's usually fine. Jake's been dating Sophie, 26 female, for about 6 months. I don't know her well, but every time we've been around each other, she seems to go out of her way to make little passive-aggressive jabs at me. Stuff like, "Wow, you're still single? That's brave." Or, "Must be nice having so much free time without kids." I've always let it slide to avoid drama. A bit more info. Even though we broke up, there have been multiple moments where it's obvious Jake isn't fully moved on. For one, he still finds excuses to text me random stuff, like sending memes or asking about old inside jokes we had. He'll accidentally bring up memories from when we were together when we're in a group, or mention songs and places that meant something to us. On top of that, a few mutual friends have let slip that he's told them he still has feelings, or at least isn't fully over our relationship. Nothing inappropriate while he's with Sophie, as far as I know, but it's clear there are lingering feelings there. And I think Sophie might sense it too, which is probably part of the reason she's so weirdly hostile toward me. Back to the story. Today Sophie was at it again. Every time I was within earshot, she'd drop little digs like, "Some people just can't move on, huh?" Or, "Guess it takes some people longer to grow up." I ignored it for hours. But then toward the end of the night, she made another comment. Well, not everyone can handle being in a healthy relationship. That was it for me. I turned to her and said, "You're right, it takes a special kind of person to date a guy still hung up on his ex." It went dead silent. Sophie looked stunned, Jake looked beyond uncomfortable, and a couple of our friends awkwardly tried to change the subject. I left soon after because I didn't want things to get worse. She was making digs at me all night, and I finally stood up for myself. But part of me feels like maybe I went too far by throwing that in her face, even though it's true. I never planned to use what Jake said or done like that, and now I wonder if I made it unnecessarily messy. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for finally snapping at my ex's girlfriend after constant passive-aggressive comments? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. She effed around and found out. Also, if she is so happy in her new relationship, she wouldn't work so hard to bring another woman down. I don't think a healthy relationship involves one partner constantly making digs at their ex. Seems like you're a little obsessed there, sweetie. While I think it was right OP finally said something, I also think that this was the wrong thing to say. She dragged her ex into the argument. This might be the point where he says that he never wants to see OP again, and this will destroy the friend group. A dig against her would have been better, like when she was telling you about your freedom without kids. You could have said something like, "At least I know how birth control works," or something like that. Hope you can find a way to have a civil relationship with your ex now. Maybe apologize to him for dragging him into it and tell him why you did that. Does he know what she is saying? Not the a-hole, but I hope you haven't nuked your whole friend group. Not the a-hole. She was asking for it. Good job sticking up for yourself. Yeah, but Jake wasn't asking for it, and she embarrassed him probably more than the girlfriend. It doesn't say anywhere that Jake was aware of the snide comments, and from experience, people who act like this girlfriend are sneaky enough to fly under the radar of the person they're with. OP should have made a comment just about the girlfriend and left Jake and his feelings out of it. Now the whole friend group could be awkward depending on how Jake handles it. He deserves it because he shouldn't be in a relationship with someone new when he's still pining away for someone else. He's stringing her along. That's not cool. Of course she doesn't feel secure about their bond when her boyfriend clearly has romantic feelings for someone else. No woman wants to be a placeholder. She should have some self-respect and leave, instead of misdirecting her anger at OP. But he shouldn't be letting her or any woman fall in love with him until he's ready to properly love someone back. Now for the update. Hey again, Reddit. Just wanted to post a quick update since a lot happened. Well, I'm still kind of processing it, but it feels worth sharing. So, after I left the barbecue and posted, I got a flurry of texts from mutual friends, mostly along the lines of, "Damn, that was awkward, but also overdue." Apparently, everyone noticed Sophie's digs throughout the day, and more than one person told me they were surprised I lasted as long as I did before finally saying something. Jake, for what it's worth, hasn't said a single word to me. Not an apology, not a, "Hey, that was a lot," nothing. Radio silence. But I did get a very long, very dramatic message from Sophie last night, basically accusing me of trying to sabotage her relationship and calling me emotionally manipulative. I didn't respond. I don't see the point, especially because here's the kicker. I've actually been seeing someone for a few months now. His name's Daniel. He's thoughtful, mature, low drama, and most importantly, not still caught up on an ex. We've been keeping things fairly private while we found our footing, but last night, after the chaos of the barbecue, I posted a pic of us to the friend group chat. Just us smiling at a coffee shop. Totally normal. Within the hour, Sophie left the chat. Make of that what you will. Anyway, Daniel has been incredibly supportive about everything. And honestly, I think seeing that photo and realizing that I have 100% moved on was the final crack in whatever illusion Sophie was holding onto. One of our mutuals mentioned that things were not going well between her and Jake, which, yeah, that tracks. So yeah, I don't feel bad about what I said anymore. Maybe I could have been softer, but sometimes the truth is sharp and people don't like how it feels. Thanks again for all the responses. Reading through the comments really helped me feel like I wasn't just being petty or reactive. I'm good now. Actually, I'm better than good. And Daniel brings me coffee and emotional security, so that's a win. Last story. Am I the a-hole for publicly bringing up a co-worker's divorce and causing her embarrassment? I'm a 29-year-old guy working at a mid-sized tech company. One of my co-workers, let's call her Jessica, is 37. We've worked together for about 2 years and generally get along. Casual banter, team lunches, the usual. She's sharp, stylish, and definitely has a presence. But she also has a bit of a snobbish streak, especially when it comes to money and status. A few days ago, a group of us were hanging out after work at a rooftop bar, just decompressing, swapping stories, and enjoying drinks. My wife and I got married last year, and somehow, the topic of engagement rings came up. Everyone started sharing proposal stories. When it was my turn, I proudly pulled out a photo of the ring I gave my wife, a 1.1 carat lab-grown diamond in a gold setting. Cost just over $2,000. It was exactly what she wanted, and I was thrilled to get her something she loved, without needing to go into debt. Jessica leaned over to look at the photo. That's when things shifted. "How is that only $2K?" she asked, squinting. "It's a lab diamond," I replied. "Same look and quality, just not mined." She rolled her eyes and gave a little scoff. "Oh, well, mine's a real 3-carat diamond. I'm not into the cheap, fake stuff." The air got tense. Everyone kind of paused, waiting to see how I'd respond. And without really thinking, I said, "Hey, you were married for 3 years, right? So that's 1 carat per year. Tell the next guy to aim for a 40-carat one, for the long haul." The table exploded. People were laughing. One coworker almost spit out their drink, and even a senior manager choked on his beer trying not to lose it. Jessica, she didn't laugh. Her lips tightened into a forced smile, and she stayed quiet for the rest of the night. I figured maybe it hit a little harder than I intended, but come on, she threw shade first. The next morning, I was grabbing coffee in the break room when Jessica came in. She waited until the room cleared out before walking up to me. "Hey," she said flatly, About last night, what you said was really rude. I blinked. Wait, the carrot choke? Yes, she said, arms crossed. I was just making a comment. You didn't have to humiliate me in front of everyone. I took a breath, realizing she wasn't brushing it off like the others. Look, I didn't mean to offend you, but you kind of started it with the fake stuff comment. I was just defending my wife's ring. She didn't respond immediately, just gave me this look somewhere between annoyed and maybe even hurt. Then she turned and walked out. Now I'm stuck wondering, was I out of line? Or was it just an office roast that went a bit too real? Now for the comments. You can argue about if OP is an a-hole or not, but the coworker was one for sure. I feel like this is one of those justified a-hole moments. OP probably was a slight a-hole, but coworker was a bigger one who started it, so... Totally agree. This feels like a classic case of you poked the bear and got bit. Coworker messed around and found out. OP might have been a little spicy, but it was deserved. Nope, she sucks. I wouldn't have done this at work, because now you've stooped to her level and risked your own potential reputation as someone that can control their emotions and act rationally. She deserved it though. To be honest, it actually did the opposite. One of the department bosses came around and gave me a fist bump. Guess people were impressed with my burn lol. Diamonds are by far the best scam program ever devised by Madison Avenue. The campaign for natural diamonds over lab ones is a close second. Like they're really out here convincing us to buy the slave diamonds. It's the suffering that makes it special.